In the churning mud of the Western Front, where artillery barrages could erase a man's entire world in seconds, soldiers learned a brutal truth that no training manual could teach. When the barrage lifted and the smoke cleared, when your pack had been blown into the next county and your rifle lay buried under 6 feet of Belgian clay, survival came down to what you carried in your pockets. This wasn't about official issue or regulation gear. This was about the improvised, the scrounged, the fiercely guarded collection of small items that transformed an ordinary soldier into a survivor. Welcome to Fieldcraft Chronicles, where today we're uncovering the forgotten wisdom of the Great War's most essential survival doctrine, the pocket core that kept men breathing when everything else had failed. The philosophy of absolute minimum. The trenches taught soldiers to think like shipwreck survivors on dry land. Every dawn brought the possibility of sudden relocation, enemy raids, or gas attacks that forced men to abandon everything and run. Veterans quickly discovered that elaborate survival kits meant nothing if they couldn't be carried during those chaotic moments. The solution emerged from necessity itself, a carefully curated collection of thumb-sized items distributed across uniform pockets, each one representing a fundamental pillar of survival. These weren't backup tools. They were primary lifelines disguised as afterthoughts, small enough to survive the blast that killed everything else, essential enough to rebuild existence from nothing. Fire in your fingers, the warmth that saved thousands. Picture standing in a flooded dugout at 3 a.m, your uniform soaked through with freezing water that carries the metallic tang of spent cordite and human waste. The cold isn't just uncomfortable, it's actively killing you degree by degree. This was the reality that made fire-starting capability, honestly, more valuable than ammunition. Soldiers who survived multiple winters learned to carry what they called their trench lighter kit in a small tin that once held tobacco or throat lozenges. Inside, wrapped in waxed paper scavenged from ration packaging, sat a stub of candle, a flint striker and char cloth made from uniform scraps burned in oxygen-starved tins. The candle served triple duty. It could start larger fires, provide light for writing letters home, and in desperate moments heat a tin cup of water enough to make the difference between hypothermia and survival. Veterans would coat matches in melted candle wax, creating storm-proof igniters that could strike wet, a technique bushcrafters still use today. The magnesium scraped from signal flares, carefully hoarded in matchboxes, could throw sparks even when fingers were just too numb to feel the striker. This wasn't just about staying warm, it was about maintaining the psychological anchor of being human in conditions designed to strip away humanity itself. The medical minimum. Staying in the fight. When shrapnel tore through flesh or barbed wire ripped open skin during night patrols, the difference between bleeding out in no man's land and making it back to the trench often came down to what a soldier carried in his breast pocket. The official field dressing was standard issue, but survivors supplemented it with improvised medical corps that reflected hard-won battlefield experience. A triangular bandage, folded small and tight, could become a tourniquet, a sling, or additional wound packing. Soldiers carried silk handkerchiefs, not for sentimentality, but because silk's smooth fibers wouldn't leave lint in wounds the way cotton would, reducing infection risk in an era before antibiotics. Safety pins, salvaged from wherever they could be found, held bandages in place and could close wounds in emergencies. The truly experienced carried a small tin of iodine crystals, knowing that a few, dissolved in water, created an antiseptic strong enough to prevent the gas gangrene that killed more men than bullets. Some kept morphine syrettes traded from medics or scavenged from the dead, understanding that pain management could mean the difference between maintaining operational effectiveness and becoming a liability to your unit. Tools of endless utility. The pocket knife became more than just a tool. It transformed into, well, an extension of survival instinct itself. British Tommies favoured clasp knives with sheepfoot blades that wouldn't accidentally pierce ration tins, while American doughboys carried whittled-down versions of hunting knives, small enough to disappear into watch pockets. These blades cut away gas-contaminated clothing, opened tins when proper openers were lost, carved identification tags from shell casings, and, in those rare quiet moments, shaped wood into small comforts that reminded men they were still capable of creation amid endless destruction. The truly resourceful added wire cutters fashioned from filed-down pliers, knowing that being caught on wire under machine gun fire meant death unless you could cut yourself free in seconds. Cord, always cord, wound around anything that would hold it. Soldiers unravelled the edges of sandbags, salvaged paracords primitive ancestors from observation balloons, and hoarded bootlaces beyond what they needed, understanding that in the field, cordage solved problems that brute force couldn't touch. Standing here a century later, it's humbling to realize that the soldiers of the Great War understood something we're still relearning. True preparedness isn't about the size of your kit, but the wisdom of what you carry and the knowledge to use it. Those men who endured conditions we can barely imagine created a survival philosophy that transcends warfare and speaks to anyone who values self-reliance. The pocket cord wasn't just about physical items. It represented a mindset that said, when everything fails, you will not. That spirit, forged in mud and fire, remains our inheritance and honestly our responsibility to preserve. If this journey through forgotten Fieldcraft has, stirred something in you, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles and share this with others who understand that the best survival tools are the ones you'll actually have when you need them most. Until next time, stay prepared, stay curious, and remember the lessons written in the pockets of those who came before.